Eh, Well, just imagine a super genius kid who suddenly starts getting certain opportunities, like interest from universities, right? People, universities, and institutions start approaching him so that he can continue developing himself. This individual behind me is a former child genius who revealed himself according to what he says, right? Now, let's see if it's true or not. But he reveals something very strange, an alleged secret program supposedly to use mental abilities, right? Even at the level of mind control, even mental development to control unidentified flying objects, that is, UFOs and advanced technology. Pancia. This happens. Jordan Josak, or Josak, claims to have been a gifted child who was publicly separated from traditional classrooms during his childhood. To participate in a program that was for very advanced mental abilities. He claims this though. I'm not sure if he's making it up. We'll have to see where he got it. But his program was called GATE, a program I wouldn't even be mentioning if similar programs hadn't already been exposed before. And over time, it's been proven that they're real, right? We have to remember that when those documents were released by Obama, 5 million documents, it showed that programs that were always shrouded in mystery and that everyone used to say, yeah, sure, exactly. No one believed it until they suddenly realized they were mind control programs, for example. Programs to have or to be able to see at a distance. By the way, the program he was in also had that. The idea of being able to see in other places where you are not. According to his account, it all began when he started to stand out academically within the GATE program for gifted students, where psychologists had shown a special interest in his cognitive abilities. He himself says he claims that he was transferred to specialized facilities in Western New York, where he supposedly received training outside of conventional educational methods. Among the activities he describes are remote viewing exercises. What I'm telling you, I mean remote viewing, altered states of consciousness, and practices aimed at expanding mental abilities considered extraordinary. The most striking claim among everything, he says, is that he was trained to interact with supposed advanced technologies and unconventional vehicles using only his consciousness and mind. He mentions this in a podcast where, well, it comes across as a strange account, right? A pretty unusual one, obviously, and in which he also claims that researchers constantly monitored his brain activity with the intention of replicating certain neurological patterns through future interfaces, or what is not known, at least brain-machine. Among the most controversial elements is his account of the existence of spheres or relics that, according to him, reacted to observation and were part of the experiments conducted.
The case then has reactivated all theories about the relationship between educational programs for the gifted and research on human consciousness, as well as government projects developed during the Cold War. I mean, yes, right here in Mexico. The case of the projects that Jacobo Grimmer had, who worked with children for what was reading what was happening at a distance, and that, well, was stopped at some point because they got scared, right? They said what was being seen was too much, so they stopped it, working with the University of Colorado. However, up to now, there is obviously no verifiable public evidence, because in these cases it is very complicated for them to confirm the existence of this alleged program that is described in the case of Yosak, nor are there any official documents that directly support his accusations.
Since we're already discussing strange things, something else comes up too. A series of documents from a leak has been revealed that would allegedly show the supposed link of Dialog, a project, a secret club of Peter Thiel, in which, by the way, Kaya Kallas would be involved, who is the head of foreign affairs of the European Union. Elon Musk would be involved, among others, right? Let's go into the details of what is known or what has been, well, discovered in these documents. And, well, this topic was sent to us by Perla, whom we send our warm regards to. I don't know if she's with us right now, but we always thank the community for participating, for commenting. And if there's an interesting topic and we see that it has good information, that it's interesting, then of course we'll be happy to talk about it, right? Look, there has been a massive leak revealing names linked to Dialog, an exclusive private club driven by Peter Thiel, bringing together political, tech, finance, and international geopolitics figures. A Swiss hacker known or identified as Maya Arson Cruel published a list of more than 100 people connected to Dialog, an extremely secretive organization founded by Pierre Peter Thiel himself.
Just to remind you, he is the founder of PayPal. Well, this leak was reportedly obtained from internal source code of the club's website, which is obviously not open to the public. And among the names that appear, obviously there's Elon Musk, who, well, was also at PayPal. He was his partner, and figures like Pepe C. Callecalas, who is the current head of diplomacy for the European Union as mentioned. And the list also includes Jared Kushner, who is Donald Trump's son-in-law, and other high-ranking officials from the United States.
Look, we have to remember that Elon Musk is one of the founders of PayPal. So I imagine that's how they know each other, right? According to reports, the list includes Jared Kushner, as you mentioned, several members of Donald Trump's circle, and high-ranking US officials.
There's Scott Bessent, the Secretary of the Treasury, for example, Dan Driscoll, Secretary of the Army, who could soon take Pete Hegseth's job. There's also Haley Huffman, Acting Chief of Staff of the Drug Enforcement Administration, or DEA, Senator Ted Cruz, Senator Cory Brook, who's a Democrat from New Jersey, Representative Jim Hems, who's a Democrat from Connecticut, Wes Moore, who's the Governor of Maryland, Jared Polis, Governor of Colorado. Also present is Tom Liu, Legal Advisor General Counsel and Chief Governance Officer at Google DeepMind, Randy Kushner, former Governor of the Federal Reserve Jonathan Gridwell, CEO of the Anti-Defamation League. Just from the name alone, it's pretty heavyweight.
That's quite a heavyweight group. I mean, really intense. That's a pretty heavyweight group. Look, about her. We've been following this hacktivist for a while now. She's a hacktivist. I hadn't noticed it was her. I mean, she's a hacktivist who's already got, wow, well, a ton of huge... She's a genius, but she's also gotten into legal trouble. Well, if she goes to the United States, I imagine they'll arrest her and lock her up for many years, right? It's just that she, if I'm not mistaken, lives in Switzerland or in a country that doesn't have extradition to the United States. Otherwise, she'd already be there. Yeah. She's the one in charge of exposing, let's say, hacking and revealing, well, a bunch of important figures who are involved in, well, some really dark stuff, right? That's why they're after her, obviously. But this case really surprises me because we're talking about, well, a classic secret society in times like these, but one where you connect a lot of people who even seem to be at odds with each other. But really, well,
they're part of the same thing.
They're part of the same thing, right?
They also have a separate website. They don't have anything. I mean, it's from Dialog. It's called datingdadiag.org to help interested members of the group find a romantic partner. This is a forum where only the members participate, obviously from Dialog, where they ask them typical questions, right? They ask what you want in a partner and promise meaningful connections. Well, it's with exceptional people, because obviously someone like Elon Musk doesn't want to hang out with just anyone.
Of course. Look at that.
It seems.
No, yes. There are 222 people, right? Registered, let's say, for example, at a retreat that took place in 2026. Something the group had kept secret for 20 years. I mean, that's been a while already, right? And these are people who are connected to the highest current power in the United States. They form, right? They develop over time. And suddenly, before you know it, they're already in operation. They're already there, let's say, right? Etc. Earlier, you were talking about these groups that were connected to George Bush Jr., George Bush Sr., and so on, which were the classic groups that came from the universities and so on. But now they're new groups, right? They're, relatively new groups. If they've been around for 20 years, that's really not that long. And the fact that there are NATO officials, military personnel, senators, tech entrepreneurs, and very high-level investors involved. Well, obviously, you realize more or less how things operate. Let's say, well, now, what do they agree on? What are they actually doing? Well, who knows, right? But the document shows that they have constant discussions, which include topics like artificial intelligence, preparations, for example, for a possible Third World War. Just imagine military technologies, nuclear energy, political influence, future social transformations. Pues en el planeta. I mean, basically talking about the future of humanity and the biggest challenges we face on the planet. One of the most controversial sessions is titled How to Create a Cult. One of their sessions is called How to Create a Cult, while others, for example, address how to create a political party as well. I mean, this revelation by this hacker is actually very interesting. And, well, thank you, Perla, for sending us this report. Honestly, we had missed it. We usually always notice those kinds of things, but this time we hadn't seen it. And now I see that it's actually on different sites. And also very serious journalists are talking about the topic. And, well, this is obviously just a first approach to the subject, but of course we're going to keep following it. And I'm surprised to see this hacker. Someone we've been following for years now. Don't you remember? But I hadn't heard about her in a while. Well, now she's showing up again. But anyway, what else?
Also last year, Axios reported that the leaders of Dialog were looking to buy a campus for Dialog in the suburbs of Washington, D.C. And just recently, a statesman named Andrew Bellman published an invitation from Dialog on a blog. Not recently, back in 2022, so we can see how much time has passed. And mockingly, he took pictures of how much they were charging him to attend an event. This was already with a 70% discount, and it still came out to $16,846. So if he had paid the full amount, it would have been more than $56,000 just to register for one of their events.
Imagine just a small event.
Small.
That's why he says
It's just that I feel
this childish guy says it, not because of the World Cup people. They're so cheap.
For him, yes, that's how he compares it. And I think he's at those heights, at those levels.
yes, I think so.
I probably, well, let's move on to other matters. Let's follow up on this topic. Let's move on to other important topics. Well, in other images, this catches the eye, this little robot that has been appearing. 8H Jonah uploads this image, and that's how it is. Well, different images of robots have been published, not just this one. For example, on Twitter, robots are appearing that are not only related to the World Cup.
Yeah, he was really into it. Just like that.
Both of them since the day before.
He was already kind of tipsy, right? But, well, those are the kinds of things people share in moments like that.
Yeah.
That in Guadalajara, even today at 5 in the morning, there were still people partying in the bars. The party started in the afternoon, went all night, and then all through the next day. The next day...
That's good, but I don't really know how or why.
Well, the endurance is impressive. And also, well, you can see this fire. Where is this?
It's in Florida, where we've been discussing ongoing fires all week. And, well, now some images have already been captured of this fire in Florida.
That's the situation. They were on their way to the international airport for Orlando.
Now, well, the wildfires that have been affecting the southeastern United States for a while haven't stopped. We're seeing it again. Well, that's part of what's happening in the world. What else do we have out there?
No image.
Normal images.
Images. Well, right now from the
Crazy storm that came here.
the storm, I was just telling you about that. Not about the storm we're experiencing. We'll talk about it in a moment. Meanwhile, a huge comment service. I didn't even know about the president. Hey, Anna. Greetings to Anna.
Yes.
You told me that we got a message. First, we got a message. I think it was from FIBA. I think the first one that came was about something that had happened in a mine, and I didn't even get to reply. I mean, I was in the car, and I said, I'll reply later. And then suddenly we get another message, and then you send me the video. And that's it. I mean, it's this topic. So yeah, this was really crazy. Greetings to the whole community in Costa Rica. Well, something strange definitely happened there in that mine, or obviously near that mine. I imagine it's a message, like telling the president, we were here. I don't know if those organized crime groups, well, in the end, they don't like people being around there because ultimately they know that sooner or later they're going to lose control of that place. Greetings to Novak's dad. It says today is World Walking Day. Walking, going for a walk, just to go out and see how crazy. All right, greetings, Pepe says. I love that intro. It's from a movie, he says, from Tapatia Plus. No. I mean, we made it for the channel.
Pepe made it.
Yes. Well, I didn't make it myself. I programmed it, let's say. I programmed it so that it would work for the channel. That's why. The other day when someone told us that, well, I don't think it fits. I said, well, I don't know. Like, if it doesn't fit with the channel's personality, well, I think it does. I mean, because I made it thinking, well, I made it the prompt, let's say, for this thinking about the channel, about what I think the channel is. And well, that's what came out. I found it very interesting. I liked it. There were several versions. This was the one I liked the most. Thank you very much. Sylvia also says, I'm not surprised about Polis. He brings his people, his agenda in Colorado, but nobody wants to see that. She says, what is it? What is she talking about? I'm not surprised about Polis. What could that be? Greetings, Sylvia. Greetings also to Perla, to Martin. Very good to Rafael Sierra. How have you been? And to the whole community that's joining. Marta Gabi, greetings. How are you? Huge greetings also to Christy Kranz. How are you, Christy? Greetings. Hi, Christine. Huacaton member. Hey, Christy, greetings. Very good.
She has a callus here.
All right, I already greeted you. Very good. Christian greetings to all the members. Well, let's move on to other matters. Let's go to other important topics as well. Hey, before anything else, these members have been circulating. What's it called? I mean, it says Tlaloc. It says Tlaloc. If you already know how I get, why do you summon me? That's what it says. And look, I want you to see the image. Let's see if you can tell me which one this is or which one it is. Enlightenment of images of how the storms were over here. But yes, they were in several places. Yes, this one was here.
What is that here in Monterey?
Look, before tomorrow's game of Japan,
See if they don't.
they make it. This is the game. I don't really think so either. But check out how the river was. When the storm was seen, it came strong. Another thing is, look, I mean, I showed you this image. You could believe it's a hurricane, right? I mean, it's already a hurricane, a tropical storm. Well, obviously this lasted just a little while or just a few moments. No, it wasn't long, but look at that. I mean, earlier I was telling you it was pretty intense because it really was. It was strong. It's the rain. There are the Japanese people. In that one, I think I need a hotel. It's nothing.
Man, those poor Japanese people have been suffering because they're at the stadium. Well, but no, they go out and it's pouring rain and there wasn't a press bus because apparently there was supposed to be a press bus, but it wasn't there. So they're all soaked like that. The poor things.
The journalists.
Wait, the journalists.
It's already this one. Well, yes, I literally live there. Literally.
And besides, they didn't let the Japanese in to watch the training.
The Japanese.
The team wasn't the reason people weren't allowed.
Oh. All right, guys. This one and also, well, this is going around. Well, let's see if I can get it. We'll put it on for you. It's this one, right? What's going on there?
Here we're seeing a fire. It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. How annoying.
There are several images.
Yes, I thought it was another one. Well, let's move on to other topics. Let's go to other important matters. These are important matters too. Look, moving on to international news. Prime Minister Starmer does not want to remain as the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, as he already has a set date for his resignation. So you think he will actually go?
They already have him, as they say, with the... I mean, they've had him well threatened for several months now, ever since it was discovered that the former ambassador is connected to the Jeffrey Epstein case. Basically, his job has been hanging by a thread. And Well, today the ministers are asking Starmer to set a resignation deadline before the end of the week. So the government itself, we're talking about the party that's on his side. I mean, we're not talking about the opposition, because the opposition does that all the time, but members of his own party have stated that he has to resign by the end of this week.
Well, that's how it is, right? That's the comment they're making to Starmer. Obviously, he's a figure who has done well in certain international areas, but he's also done poorly domestically on that issue.
Exactly. And besides, there's already a possible winner named Andy Burhan. He won the elections that were planned for yesterday. So it seems like he's going to take power, let's say, the one who is seen as the next prime minister. So, well, it's a hassle because then all the countries have to adapt to the new one. And it's true that the United Kingdom changes very easily.
It also changes very often. Yes, exactly. Well, look, here is this poll I mentioned a while ago where we asked something very, very, very basic, but well, it's related to the World Cup. Do you prefer Messi or Ronaldo? It's that simple. They're almost tied. I mean, honestly, the difference isn't much. We've already reached 160 votes on this poll. Let's see what everyone thinks. Meanwhile, another thing that also catches my attention is what the president says. Joseph Aoun, who is the president of Lebanon, is asking for a ceasefire that he says should be broad, but he is not asking for a complete ceasefire. That's the term he uses after talking with United States Secretary of State Marco
Rubio.
Exactly. We have to remember that, well, Marco Rubio is the Secretary of State and, well, we haven't seen much of him. But today he had a long phone conversation with the president of Lebanon. And, well, according to reports on social media, he even thanked Marco Rubio for Washington's support and emphasized that ending the Israeli attacks is a very important pillar for the negotiations to move forward. I mean, you can't negotiate while there are still attacks. And the president has also demanded that the truce be respected. The truce that was reached in April and has been extended several times. However, well, those extensions are not being respected, neither by Hezbollah nor by Israel. And they say this is important to undermine the security, stability, sovereignty, and territorial integrity of Lebanon, which is a real problem because Israel has already gotten involved and it's very difficult to get them out afterward.
difficult. Once you enter a country, getting you out is going to be really tough. So, well, yeah. That's the demand coming not only from Lebanon, but even from the United States to calm this area down, right? Greetings to Obdulia. How have you been? Big greetings. I assume the one who says Lucia is probably Leonardo. Anyway, greetings to both Leonardo and Lucia. Obviously, she says, let's see, she says she's still without power. And I have an electric stove. Now I'm surviving on just McDonald's. I'm going to end up rolling around the house. Jeez, Leonardo, don't tell me you still haven't gotten any solutions. But why? She says, today I went out to buy clothes to forget that I don't have power. And it's really nice to get some dopamine. She says, well, yeah, of course. Right. It's always like this. You buy something new that you like, whatever it is. Well, it's always really cool, isn't it? Greetings. Greetings to Italo as well. Who else is out there? To Robert Ortega, the whole community with us. And Martin, how have you been? Greetings. He says, well, in the Dominican Republic, it could be the worst so far. Yes, actually, we're going there. We're going to talk about that topic, right? About what's happening with the Ebola situation. Martin, let's get to that issue because things are getting really intense. And they're celebrating the soccer game, the tie they had, and gathering with a lot of people. Look at what's happening in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Hey, well, Ebola, as Martin was saying here, sending him a greeting. The first comment from Martin says, let's see Ebola. In the Democratic Republic of the Congo, it could be the worst one so far. Saying that currently tens of thousands of contacts with the disease have not... Sorry, I can't quite read it there. It says they have not been traced. Exactly. Well, you actually picked exactly the topic we had lined up here. So, According to what France 24 says, right? This French outlet has a very interesting report about what's happening and what the WHO itself has also been publishing. According to what's being reported, this outbreak, this virus outbreak, is a problem that's said to be evolving rapidly in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. They say the outbreak is spreading rapidly despite the intensification of public health measures. The WHO reported this today, Friday. They say the outbreak began in mid-May, although they believe it actually started in January. Yes, the problem with this is that it's the Bundibugyo strain, which doesn't have a treatment. So, if the person and their contacts aren't isolated, the problem continues. But the problem is that people who have the issue escape from hospitals or are taken away by the authorities when they pass away. So the bodies are also taken away by the families by force. And then the bodies start to spread the infection too. Well, it's just complete chaos. Honestly, the truth is that Teodoro Zadano was lucky when he went there not to get infected. I mean, because he's going to the places where the problem is, right? Yes. The thing is, there isn't a specific treatment. The fatality rate specifically in that country is extremely high. The WHO warns that this outbreak is evolving rapidly despite the efforts and says that the workers are racing against time. They're racing against the clock. Why? At some point, the situation could worsen massively, and then it would really be difficult to get out of that problem. They say that the outbreak is still serious and evolving, but nevertheless, they say they have been seeing a response that they are strengthening day by day. They report this in Geneva, feeling very comfortable over there. But the reality is that the outbreak, day by day, is tremendous. They say it's more than 90%. Keep in mind, 90% of the known cases have occurred mainly in an area called Ituro. Yeah. And that's actually somewhat positive. I mean, knowing that most of the cases are like that. I was just reading a report from one of those Doctors Without Borders physicians who said, well, yes, they're detecting them in Ituro, because in Ituro, there are people to report it. But in other regions, there aren't. There's no one. I mean, it's not that 90% of the cases are in Ituro. It's just that in other regions, there's no one to report it, because over there, it's controlled by some group or some gang, just to give an example, not actual groups. So they say there are areas where, well, obviously, it's not that there aren't any cases. It's just that the information isn't being updated in those places. So the problem, according to what Doctors Without Borders said, is they believe at least that it's very widespread. And that's more or less what the WHO says too. I mean, they're in the same place. The problem is spreading rapidly. Have been confirmed, but well, they say there are actually many more than that. The confirmed deaths are 232, and that's just the confirmed ones. That's a number that is probably much lower than the real one, right? Because, well, it took them a long time from when those cases were first known to actually confirm these deaths, since many of those 232 had already been dead for a while and had been listed as dying from something else. So they're going back and seeing that, well, there are more cases than expected. That's why they suspect it's been around longer, that it's been around longer. Exactly, that's most likely. In fact, that's what they found. With a nurse, the nurse, well, I imagine they really identified that the problem was something else, that it wasn't what they thought. Son of, I can't recall. They mistook it for another common disease there, which is why they didn't notice. Malaria. Yes, that's right. They confused it with malaria. And so suddenly, they weren't doing the necessary tests to see what it really was. When they realized this, the problem is bigger than they thought. Anyway, greetings to Martin and the whole community. Let's move on to other important matters. Two trains may have collapsed. They may have crashed into each other. Two passenger trains. The problem wasn't understood well at first. In fact, I said, well, look, there was a crash, but there are no reports of injuries yet. Well, it's just that there wasn't any information at that moment. We talked about it in the morning when it had just happened. But by now, well, there are already many injured.
Yes, there are 89 injured with varying degrees. Serious, minor, and so on. At least one person is believed to have died. These two trains crashed today, as Pepe said, south of Bedford, a town that's about 90 kilometers. And well, the British Transport Police confirmed this incident, which happened at 5:30 p.m. British Summer Time, and they stated that it was a report of a collision involving two trains from the Bedford area, both operated by East Midlands Railway. One was heading south toward the London station at St Pancras, and one toward Kirkby and the other toward Nottingham. Both cities are in the center of England, but unfortunately, they had this accident. What a witness who was traveling on the train said is that they felt what seemed like a bomb explosion, and from there were injured people and so on. But they only mention a loud sound like a bomb.
Well, yes, it's there. I mean, they don't know what it is.
They don't know what it is. Obviously, they crashed.
Yes, of course.
They don't know the cause. They're going to conduct investigations into this case.
How are you, Elizabeth Lozano? Great to see you here. Well, Leonardo, actually, because there's Vicro, Marcela, the whole community that's joining in. Thank you so much. Let's move on to other important matters as well. What do you have over there?
Also today, Trump presented a plane that has been super controversial. This plane that was gifted to him by Qatar. And well, today he presented it with all the modifications they made to the new Air Force One. Just imagine, I mean, you don't know if it's all bugged in there full of microphones or who knows what.
I guess the girls do have that.
But
Check it out. Look, there he is. That's Trump presenting. You can see him in the background.
they changed its color, if you remember. Because the previous one, actually yesterday, several media outlets commented that it was strange because the people who work on the presidential plane were sharing pictures of the plane like they were saying goodbye to it since nothing had been announced. So, well, today they're presenting it. And of course, they added the golden stripe that Trump loves because the color they usually use is like a sky blue with white. Now they're showing off a new color that abandons sky blue. Because the sky blue was from the Kennedy era, it's from Kennedy's time, and now it's a more intense color with navy blue, the red stripe, and of course the golden stripe, which is classic for Trump. For Trump.
This is it. Look, I mean, this is, let's say, like the full picture of the plane, right?
Of being on the plane.
Yeah, it's nice. They really needed something new.
But yes, it was heavily criticized. They did accept it.
Yes, of course, it's strange for it to be a gift like that, right? And even more so from a country that, to begin with, isn't even a democracy, right?
And a country that's involved in a lot of corruption cases.
Yes, to begin with. Well, that's how things are. Let's move on to other important topics as well. Hey, so... Belarus is about to be dragged into the conflict, into the war. That's something that Lukashenko has really tried to avoid, and I think he's right to do so. You know, why get involved in a war, honestly? That doesn't even make sense, and whose effects on Russia have been terrible, right? The Ukrainian president issues an ultimatum threatening Belarus. And, well, basically, it's about facing the consequences if they keep operating. Because there have also been sightings of Russian drones entering Belarus and then from there attacking or even invading Ukraine from the north. So, well, this whole situation has also made Lukashenko himself react. Right? I mean, Lukashenko reacts and even apologizes to Zelensky, which is something that stands out. I mean, he sends him a letter, right? He sends him a letter. How did that go?
Well, the dictator Lukashenko, this happened like yesterday, I think. He stated that, well, Ukraine shouldn't expect any military action from Belarus. The truth is that up to now, there hasn't been an attack from them. I mean, Russia has sent things from there, though. Yes, they had a training camp there during the first 2 years of the war, and at some point, they left. Lukashenko has managed to keep it that way. even though, well, what we call Belarus is almost like Russia, right? And he apologized to Zelensky for his harsh previous statements to the outlet Al Arabi, an Arab media outlet, where he criticized the president. And he says, maybe I went a little too far at some point, but it was a response to his unfounded statements. Yes, we have 500 targets. Yes, we know exactly where Lukashenko is. Tomorrow we will attack with 1,000 drones, he said. In other words, he claimed that Zelensky had said this, and that's why he reacted that way. He says, I kept silent. Everyone was surprised by my silence. I understood it. The man is under immense pressure. He is young, inexperienced, and not a military man. Maybe something doesn't add up for him. I kept silent, but when they started threatening me, I had to respond.
I did this as Lukashenko.
That's what Lukashenko said. Yes, explaining why he did it. I mean, what did Zelensky say that made him react the way he did?
And Lukashenko supposedly offers to meet with Zelensky, even in Ukraine. I mean, Lukashenko, let's say that in that sense, he has enough confidence to say, I'll meet inside. I mean, it's like saying this. I have the, how do you say it? I have the peace of mind that I could go to Ukraine. Nothing is going to happen to me. I mean, thinking that he's a person who has really tried not to get involved in the conflict because Putin pressured him in every way. Remember, at one point, he stopped attending meetings entirely. He always pretended to be sick. Do you remember there was going to be a meeting with Russia's allies and him? Oh, my stomach hurts, right? So there was always something, his heart or something like that. He always came up with an excuse. And then later on, he started to feel more confident and began meeting again and everything. But I see that Lukashenko is afraid of Putin. He's afraid, but at the same time, he has enough guts not to get involved in the war, because just imagine the pressure he must be under. No, I mean, actually, the issue of Putin putting nuclear weapons inside Belarus is really Putin's issue. I mean, it's about using Belarus. Well, by putting those nuclear weapons there, but in that case, it seems like Lukashenko couldn't give in, right?
Right, exactly. And well, he tells Zelensky, he says, if Zelensky felt offended, I apologize for my words. Maybe I shouldn't have said those things, considering that after all, he's fighting a war. Maybe I shouldn't have expressed myself so harshly on behalf of Belarus, and especially on my part. He shouldn't expect any military action.
Well, that's the point, right? The answer is very interesting. Who would have thought that 2 or 3 years ago, Lukashenko would have had to apologize to Zelensky? He apologizes because he knows those words could also have consequences, right? And honestly, I can see that he really doesn't want to be dragged into the war. Now, he's just getting angry. Putin finds out that he's apologizing to Zelensky. He'll get really angry. Of course, if the information actually reaches him, because right now he's very, very isolated, isn't he? Well, we have other matters too, other important topics, because there are signs in the European Union that Russia might... Do you remember that not long ago we saw an image of several foreign ministers, Russian ambassadors from Europe, who went to the building of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, where Sergei Lavrov is, where the Minister of Foreign Affairs is. These ambassadors arrived. I think it was France, Germany, England, one of the, let's say, 3 biggest powers in Europe. They were visiting the ministry in complete silence. The press was there, but they didn't want to say anything. Supposedly, there were rumors there. That day we mentioned that there was going to be a dialogue between Europe and Russia. Well, now it seems like it's going to be confirmed. It's being confirmed.
A channel of dialogue was opened, which is always extremely important not to lose, because in the end, it's like the last hope before things escalate further. And well, today, Russia declared that it is open to dialogue with Europe, but warned that they will not accept ultimatums or negotiate under conditions that Moscow considers an imposition. And also, I mean, Moscow wants its own impositions, not Europe's impositions. They don't like the idea of having to negotiate. And the Kremlin spokesperson, Dmitry Peskov, stated that common sense requires these contacts, he says, because there is a huge number of complex issues pending, because at the end of the day, Russia and Europe still have a relationship. There is still an exchange of energy resources because it's complicated to cut it off completely. And he was very direct and said that Europeans have it very wrong. They assume that negotiations with Russia should be carried out from a position of strength. This is their biggest mistake. This dialogue will not lead anywhere.
Well, there it is. That's what they're saying. You know, it caught my attention that a meteorologist from here in Nuevo León, Victor Manuel,
I think my teacher, if he retweets or shares, sorry, I got confused. I got tongue-tied. He shares what someone posts. A Japanese journalist about what they're seeing here. I mean, about what, and the journalist says already translated. The Japanese journalist doesn't say this, but shows this image. Let me try to display it. He says the following. He says, Monterrey, suddenly it's turned into a sudden torrential downpour. He says a heavy downpour with thunder that makes it cool. It's a relief, that's for sure, he says, right? And the truth is, yes. Well, that's the comment that Tomoyuki Yabe makes in Twitter account, right? And he shows this image. That's how the rain was.
Right?
Yes, no, it was really strong.
Elizabeth Lozano, who's in the comments, is also from Monterrey. How did you experience it? Were you out on the street? How did people in Monterrey see and feel its impact? But the thing is, it's the tremendous downpour.
No, downpour. Yes, it's funny to see because right now there are a lot. Well, I'm seeing a lot of comments from Japanese people who are here in Monterrey or in Mexico in general, right? But right now it's funny to see the different perspectives. The one who's there is grateful because the temperature drops, right? But then there's another one who basically says they sent me to Mexico. How do people survive like this? I mean, can you imagine if every day there were 27 millimeters of rain? No, that doesn't happen. It's very rare, right? Yes, it does rain, but not to this extent. Yeah. I know. And if he comes to Mexico, is it just to survive or what does he do? He exaggerates and makes it dramatic.
Hang in there, buddy.
Greetings, Panterita. How have you been? Ofe Mendez, greetings. Very good. Also, greetings, very good. Where is Caribel? Where is Caribel? Greetings, Caribel. How are you doing?
Who's going to be around here?
Marcela Riquelme, good evening. Good evening to the whole community that's arriving. Thank you very much. Well, let's move on to other matters, other important topics as well. Hey, well, let's go. Let's get to the comments now. How have you been, Wilco? Greetings, greetings. Says flash, 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 flash. News with BPS and greetings. How have you been?
Hey, let's go greetings, Wilco.
What's up? How have you been? He says, hey, 100,000 people at Fundidora Park on the day of, well, yesterday. Yeah, while at the Fan Fest, you know, where they gather to watch, what's it called, the match. Which group were they going to bring?
I think they brought, they did the biggest golden horse. You know which one it is. Come on. For those who don't and
Knows it.
No, those outside Mexico might not know it.
But anyway, did they take it?
Them? Was it yesterday? I imagine it looks like that. Everyone dancing the same way.
The first day they brought him, when there was a Mexico game, they did a fan fest, and I think it was this guy, Chayano.
No, Chayano was on a weekend.
A weekend?
When did he play?
Did he play Thursday? That's why when he went to Mexico. Well, I don't know.
I don't remember when he played.
But they brought Chayano, just imagine. No.
Chayano played and Cañon was there too.
Hold on, he didn't play.
He also played, besides he was the goalkeeper. Yes. He says, the Caribbean with a city that feels like we're inside an air fryer.
He says, I mean, it's a lot. The heat is intense. Right now, if you touch the walls, the outside walls are hot, like stones, like the ones you use to grill things. Well, they're extremely hot. But with this cool breeze we got today, things have eased up a bit, right?
Yes, Leonardo says, Pepe, man, when you come out of a crisis, you come out stronger. You're not scared of any worldwide blackout anymore.
Greetings, very good. Who says that? He says Leonardo. Leave it, Leonardo. Cheers. Soli says question.
Hi, I have a question, but I need you to answer honestly. Who is she talking to? Why? Why don't Mexicans like Messi? I recommend you watch the video about him because as a person, he's even better than as a player. I don't dislike Messi. In fact, I don't know many people who do. Actually, I know more people who dislike Ronaldo than people who dislike Messi.
No, there are a lot of Messi fans.
So many fans.
We have the son of a friend ran into him at a restaurant in over there in Playa del Carmen. He ran into Messi just like that, imagine. And he saw him, and of course, a photo and everything. He has a photo there with Messi. I mean, no, always. But that's it. I mean, Cristiano is also really popular. So that's why the poll doesn't surprise me. It's like 50-50. It's very close. It's very close. Yeah, sometimes unlike many other soccer players, Argentine ones, I mean, Messi, compared to them, well, it's pretty simple because here we've had a ton of Argentine players who play for Tigres, for Rayados, and a bunch of, I mean, there's a whole Argentine community actually that already lives here. They stayed here and everything. But still, let's say the ego was always pretty high, right? And Messi is the complete opposite. I mean, Messi, well, some people say he's kind of arrogant, but honestly, I don't see it that way. In that case, I think Cristiano Ronaldo is the one who's super arrogant. Yes.
Yes.
Now, I like Ronaldo much more as a person, his story, his whole biography. I like that whole idea of building yourself up, of doing it yourself more. And Messi is incredibly talented, but he's just a natural talent. Also, a lot of it is natural. I mean, yes, there's training, but also a lot of it is something he was just born with, right? No. I think both of them are really loved here.
Yes.
Yes, no. Don't let what you see on EXO influence you. I don't know who you saw, but that's just how people here in Mexico see it.
No, not all.
Yes, Diego. But did the national team win? But F for the logo, for the pretty logo, it says Brazil. Look, it's already there. It's not.
I didn't watch the game of...
They won against hate.
I told you yes. You told me third. But I didn't see it. Yes, no. Yeah, I couldn't see it. I want to see it. Well, I mean, 3-0 seems like too few goals to me. I mean, for it to be Haiti. What did Haiti do? So they wouldn't get scored on more, right? It also seems weird, doesn't it? It seems like way too few to me.
Well, again, yes, it's just that Morocco is also coming in really strong.
Coming in really strong.
Yeah, look at Morocco. The day before they were supposed to play against Brazil, they said they call us the Brazil of Egypt. And I was like, oh, what show-offs?
The Brazil of Egypt.
Of Egypt, sorry, of Africa. So maybe the guy wasn't so wrong and I said he was exaggerating. But I mean, they've already won twice.
No, but Morocco did reach the semifinals.
I know, but when he said they were told they were like Brazil, I thought that was really exaggerated. Anyway.
The Brazil of Africa, maybe. Well, who else? I mean, right now. I mean, I don't know, for the soccer fans here. Yeah.
Not anymore. You don't really see that anymore.
Musical artist is your favorite, Ingrid and Pepe. Greetings from Mazatlan. Greetings, Martin. Hello. Thank you so much for that super chat. Thank you for that super chat. Let's see, Astrid, what? Who is your favorite musical artist? It's just that it's really hard. I mean, ask me right now and I'll tell you one. Tomorrow, I'll tell you another. The day after tomorrow, I'll tell you another. I mean, doesn't it happen to you too that it just depends on the day, right? Gustos. There are days when you're, for example, right now. Yeah, these last few days, I've really liked this one. I've liked this one. Does it mean it's been perfect for traffic? Basically, no. I forgot the name. The ones from Tron. What's it called? The ones from what? The ones from Tron.
Yeah, Daft Punk.
Daft Punk. For me, they've been the real deal lately. And I hadn't listened to them in months. And now every day, Daft Punk. That's how I get. And then suddenly I switch to hip hop and I'm there with hip hop artists. Then I get bored and move on to others. That's how I am. You know? I mean, basically, it's to keep myself awake and alert. Sometimes I don't know why. Who knows how the brain works? But sometimes you need something really urban and aggressive. And other times you need something really relaxed. So now I got into the electronic vibe. I used to be really into electronic music, and then I stopped listening to electronic music altogether. And now I'm going back to electronic music. I don't know. Who knows what's up? But it's like, I feel like my brain needs something, you know? I don't know. It's like, I feel like having this,
Yeah, I feel
something like that. It's really curious. Does that happen to you too? That's why for me, when people ask about a favorite movie or favorite music, I can't answer. Ask me right now and I'll say Tron. But tomorrow, who knows what I'll say? I mean, I don't know. Yeah,
it's really complicated.
it changes a lot. For example, sometimes I'm into Spanish music. Then suddenly I only want English music. Other times I just want instrumental music because I don't know. Well, sometimes I just listen to drums. Yeah, just drums. And then sometimes just crickets. And that's kind of weirder, right? No, but yeah, sometimes drums. I have a section with just drums. And, well, I also have crickets, but for sleeping. That's what it says. Only Sol Garcia says if Brazil lost, they would be out, but they won and became the leader of the group, says Sol. Cheers, Sol.
Because who knows what's left of that group specifically? It's Scotland, and they'd have to win. And well, they would have to win against whoever they're playing.
Morocco is next, so that's where Scotland's advancement will be decided.
Morocco and Brazil advance. Yes, I think so. It's more recognizable. The United States advances too. It's already says done. It's done. Now this is what's left from Australia. Jack Draper says Jogo Bonito. Game, they do.
They are beautiful.
What's up with that? Honestly, I don't see it that way now. There's no star like that. Neymar is really annoying, but he's just in the news, not playing. So, but he's not nice. He's not like Ronaldinho. He has that beautiful game.
He has a beautiful game. Well,
I see that he just died that anymore. Yeah, well, no. Greetings to Leonardo, who says Pepe is already my neighbor. He's already starting to fix the problem. I made it clear to him that I'm not going to put in any money. I'm just going to help with the labor. He says, how come you guys are fixing it? The power company people are the ones who are supposed to fix it.
it's true. How curious. Fernando. Yeah, no, strange.
Here, they can't even get involved.
You can't even touch it. I mean, you can't. I mean, it has to be them. The Federal Electricity Commission, nobody can touch that. So just deal with it however you can. I mean, they usually are efficient and come the same day or the next day. But if you can't touch it, I mean, you can't just get in there and say, let me fix it myself. No.
No. Not even the meter, nothing. You can't fix anything.
Yes, anything inside the house. Yes, but from that point outward, nothing. It's funny, you know?
It says that she rocks herself and finds it very lively and Christian very pleasant. You know, I feel the opposite.
Funny. Yes, I'm totally the opposite. Christian. I don't find him very down to earth. Not that it's bad or anything. It's just, although I insist, I prefer his biography. I like his biography more, but I do think he's kind of arrogant, and I insist. No, I don't feel like he is
He seems, yeah, kind of like the obsessive guy from American Psycho.
obsessive. Yes, with what he does. Yes. He says, but no. Like American, he says. Psycho, he says. Alicia says hello. She says, did you see the meme about the kids who will be born in Mexico around March 2017?
Oh, a lot.
Of course, there are going to be a lot of Asians.
Asians from all over, because that's just how it is.
They're Asians.
They're kissing, so it's almost like they get pregnant just from the kiss. Yes, greetings.
Yes, there was a spark.
A lot of chemistry.
Especially between Asians and Mexicans. Yes. Like even today he says, how have you been? He says, I'm finally an aguacatona. Thanks so much, Christian. I'm now an aguacatona member. By the way, what's up with the avocados? It's been at least 2 weeks since I had an avocado, which is rare for me. There haven't been any. And when there are, they're unripe. So we only have a few days with avocados. Speaking of which, Yagra says,
She says he has Asperger's, which is why he's introverted. Or so they say, says Yagre.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that. She says, I saw that Messi. I didn't like him since he said, what are you looking at, idiot, to a special needs kid?
Ugh, no. But that's how he talks, like, what are you looking at, idiot? Like, you don't really see that.
Dad says, no, it's a joke. My grandfather lived to be 104 years old, and he smoked 3 cigars a day, drank imported whiskey every night, ate seafood 3 times a week, and visited his young, beautiful lover. The halfway point. And where is it? Yes, the chinguetas. I can't find half the joke.
Well, I live off Tatiana. What do you mean? Well, I live off Tatiana.
The dad of Nueva? The dad of Nueva? Where's the dad of Nueva?
Banda Machos. The final. It was Banda. Banda Machos were sent Panterita and Tatiana. Really?
Dad Nueva, where is the half? What's up?
Greetings.
Well, let's see if they put the half right now. Cristiano says Mbappe. I think they act stuck up. Messi seems like he's in his own world, kind of whatever. Christy says, Wyckoff says he's a special kid. It was Ronaldo, Wyckoff says. So how's Wyckoff doing? Greetings to Oli. Where's Oli? I don't see her anymore. Greetings to Oli. Wendy, how have you been? Greetings. Where's the poll? The poll is in the community area. Let's see how it's going. Let's check how the poll is doing right now. By the way, greetings, Wendy. How have you been? Check if you can get into the community section. I'm going to post it here in the chat. Anyway. Well, there's the post. And that's it. Just scroll down a little and you'll find the poll there. There are already 185 votes. Let me see if I can post it here. And it's at 55 to 45%. I mean, there's a slightly bigger difference in favor of Messi. Second place is Cristiano, but it's really by a very small percentage, right? Yeah, no, and I'm not saying no. We're not really talking about who has more points or who has more goals. No, the question is simply, who do you prefer? Who do you prefer to watch in a game? Whatever it is. Yeah, I was really surprised by Messi's performance in that 3-0 game, you know. Impressive. The ease with which he scores goals. Honestly, it really threw me off. Like, it's just... But that's how it is with him, right? I mean, it's like, who knows what he has? It's like he has everything super well calculated. That's why people talk about that Asperger's thing, which I don't know how true that is. It's just... But sometimes he has a vision that others don't, right? I think that's also part of his talent, right? But yeah, I mean, sometimes he sees things that others don't. And he's like, okay, this angle here, I don't know. He does his math there. And boom. I mean, he obviously has some genius or a lot of genius. That's it. I mean, the other day I was watching, I think I sent it to you. The thing about Fed, right? I sent it to you. Oh, I didn't send it to you. Yeah, this Federer guy. Huh? There are two shots. I'll tell you about him. I've seen them over time, him, right? He serves and it's a fault. Yeah. And not even the umpire says it's out. I mean that it was outside the line and not even the player says it's out. Everyone thought it was in, but he says it was out and everyone just stands there. But if nobody said it was out. Yeah. And he says, yes, but it was, I mean, it was, and I mean,
Yes, he does ask for...
and it was, I mean, really, yeah, but nobody saw it. I mean, but from where he was, he already knew it was a fault. But the other one, this isn't the surprising one. The surprising one is the next one. Yeah. Imagine that there was this guy, the Russian, I don't remember his name, right? They're there playing tennis, hitting from one side to the other, back and forth. And he hits, but he really hits in a way that it looks like there's a double bounce. You know how it is? It can only bounce once on the opponent's side of the court. But he hits once and then does this. You know, it bounces on the floor and then he does this and the racket hits. But it looks like it's at the same time and it didn't touch the floor.
Uh-huh.
And he says, check it. And to finish his line of reasoning, right? He said, it's just that, he said, the spin the ball made is a spin that could only have happened if it touched the floor. Uh-huh. Imagine, I mean, he realized that the spin from the bounce was different. It couldn't have been from the racket. It had to be from the floor. And so when he checks the footage, was he right? I mean, he didn't figure it out because he saw it. He couldn't see it, but he deduced it from the spin, from how the ball was spinning, just with that alone. I said no. Sometimes anime isn't as exaggerated as it looks, but it always shows that it's not like I know from seeing it. Yeah. I mean, people who have such sharp vision and so much practice can suddenly see things that even cameras can't catch. I mean, it's impressive. Honestly, that's how it is.
From Chile says, Dad, I have a question. What do you all think about experiencing this technological change? Going from having a landline to having a cell phone, which is like a mini computer. Such a big change in just a few years. Well, it's a generation. The millennials in general who have had to adapt from analog, right, to digital. And it has happened very easily because change has always been present, right? Always. I remember as a little girl, like, oh, laptops are coming. I remember being, I don't know, about 8 or 7 years old, and you started seeing photos in Muy Interesante magazine of those huge IBM computers, right? That probably didn't have any capacity at all.
I was telling my son, yesterday I told him my middle school had computers. And that was big news in the region because it was the only middle school that had computers. There weren't any, and they didn't do programming. Even now, it's not really taught. At first, they had computers, but didn't know what to do with them. Rather than just saying they'll learn the basics, like how to use and open it, they didn't have them start right away. They started programming. And from day one, they had us programming. For example, we did programming. I mean, the exam was basically to program a clock, to make a clock work and do everything. The diagram. First, it had to make sense and show the second, the hour, and the minute. Very good teacher, by the way. But as a kid, well, the Atari, I don't know. I mean, all those kinds of games and so on. As time went by, everything kept advancing. We've gone through change after change and more change after change. And for those of the generation, for example, the Xennials and all the later generations, Alpha, for example, they were basically born with algorithms and AIs and all that stuff. I mean, for them, it's already... everything is basically technologized, right? But no, they are not experiencing constant leaps, like in our case, which was leap after leap, leaps, from the moment you were born until now. I mean, I think we're going to keep experiencing them. And they were talking about how this generation, which is basically those who were born, let's say, around the 80s, right? From then on, they're experiencing all the changes that have happened and are yet to happen. I mean, we're even experiencing them ourselves. Those who were kids, maybe, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years old. I mean, those who were born maybe in the 70s also went through that, right? They went through all that change, all that constant change. There's like a sub-generation, because before it was Generation X, right? And then Generation Z, but Generation X and the millennials, right? But in between are those who were born, let's say, in the 70s and 80s, as they're called. It's like a term between Generation X and the millennials, like what they call Xennials. Because it's a generation that also had to go through all that adaptation. They had to live through the analog era at the same time as things were shifting to digital, right? That I mean, we basically didn't experience the jump, even in college, he says. The current Alcaraz and singer would outplay Fair in his prime, he says. That's what he says. I mean, I would definitely bet on Alcaraz and even on this singer too. I've been watching them and they're really impressive. But the one who impresses me the most is Alcaraz. For me, he's like he's the top, you know, for me. And besides, I really like his playing style. He's just amazing. I mean, he's incredible.
Says Novak's dad. The final of this World Cup, he says, is going to be a European team and an African team. That's what Novak's dad says.
I think it's going to be one from a country that's between North America and Central America. That's the one that's going to win the World Cup, he says. Greetings to the Thielians. Supposedly. Exactly. Yeah, says, how have you been? Hello, greetings.
Riquelme says, I like how now in Mexico he was saving everything, says Marcela. Yes, Marcela, yes.
He is tremendous.
Greetings to Vic. People used to say Mexico played their best but always lost, but now they played poorly and still won. It's just that it's really complicated with the Koreans, isn't it? Because you can tell it's not, I mean, they have a lot of endurance. Like, they have super tough training sessions, really tough. And when you see this, the one from this Cyan Challenge, that several of the I don't know if from this what's it called? Yes, from this South Korean team, but several who have been selected for the South Korean team have participated in soccer. Oh, yes. And you see the contests and their ability to like do it and not complain. I mean, their ability is impressive. I mean, the athletes from South Korea, they're amazing. I mean, and you see it in soccer, right? You see that they've got a ton of endurance, but they're still missing something, right? They don't have that. I mean, they're very good technically, but it's like they don't know. I feel like they're missing something. They're missing what Brazilians have in abundance, as Brazilians clearly enjoy the games and seem to have fun. These guys are very tough and technical.
Yeah. They're missing that fun. But, well, in the end, this is a game. And well, I like that. For example, with Alcaraz, I mean, speaking about tennis, I mean, you can see he's having fun. I mean, that's awesome. That's cool. That's how it should be, I think. Yeah, Soli. We're watching it. I mean, not every match, obviously, but the ones I don't watch, I see the highlights. And, well, some matches I do watch in full, right? The ones I can, for example, like tomorrow, the Japan-Tunisia match, right? That one I'm definitely going to watch. I've wanted to watch the Argentina match, but I couldn't. I mean, I did watch the highlights. Also because of the live broadcast, right? Sometimes because of the time, you just can't watch them. But yes, I'm following it. I'm following it. He says, Ofe, how are you? Hey.
I voted for Ronaldo because here in the Santiago subway, I saw him in a video modeling in underwear and he looked so handsome. I mean, he has an amazing body because he never stops working on it. It's impressive, yes. He's super ultra disciplined with his diet and his workouts, right?
It says that a top economist predicted a Netherlands versus Portugal final and Portugal wins. He ran some models and has already gotten several right. He says, let's see. Let's see what he's gotten right. There are a lot of predictions, right? Among the surprises, among the favorites, it's supposedly between the chairs. What was it? What did we say it was? Between the chairs.
It was Portugal, Spain.
It was either Portugal or Spain.
Both?
Both Portugal and Spain, right?
Spain, I don't know.
Yes, those were coming. But what it's showing, at least right now, the world favorites, is that there could be a little surprise out there. This guy Guerrero says, in fact, as a kid, he watched TV on black and white tube televisions, and now he's really into current technology. Exactly. Yes, Guerrero, exactly. How long it took to turn on, right? I mean, I remember a TV my grandma had that was black and well, that was the one they would lend us for the grandkids, let's say. And the color TV was for the adults, right? Later on, there were 2 color TVs. But at first, they would say, this PPS from Japan, you're going to watch it from your roof with the minerals. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. But you wouldn't just see the stadium. Yes.
No, it's really hard to see inside.
It's really hard to see inside.
Victor says he's hanging out with Pato Merlin, really going all out with Pato Merlin. A bunch of them have already come out, a bunch of knockoff ducks. One in the United States tried to compete with him. And several others have started to bring out their own ducks, but it feels really forced. A politician from here even brought one out, but they hold it really awkwardly. Like, at least learn how to hold it. And in Canada, they brought out their little Merlins and put them in a sculpture shop, as usual, and dressed them in shirts from different teams.
They claim a Paraguayan player was kicked out for covering his mouth. Really? Why?
They kicked out a player. I mean, they took him out.
Yeah, they kicked him out. I mean,
Because he covered his mouth.
why is that? I don't know. Maybe it's Garban. He says, do your kids know too? Yes, they're watching. Yes, they're excited. You know, a little excited. But not so much that they're checking out the figurines. Yeah, no, not that much. No, not that much, but they have been excited. They watch when Mexico plays, especially those games, but also catch parts of other matches. It's like they're really interested in the geopolitical side of things. Right? I mean, both of them. And they're like, oh, this one's from NATO and this one isn't from NATO. I mean, obviously, just imagine here we talk about those topics every day. So now it's something very familiar to them. And about things like countries, things that interest them or interest us. And what's up with that country? No, they know more flags than I do. Honestly, I mean, even the youngest one beats me. They were making the flags, and this is this one, and this is this one, and this is this one, and this is this one. I mean, and I was like, no, honestly, I couldn't remember what Haiti's flag looked like, to be honest, really. So I even had to look it up. No, yeah, it was right. I mean, it was Haiti's. Yeah, but it's cool because it's like, I didn't really get the point of it before. I thought it was going to be boring for them, but it's actually been interesting because also you get to read the players' stories and you see them. So that's really cool.
She says they kicked him out for racism. Okay.
Yoko and Lennon, the dogs, were the ones who got freaked out. I don't think they'd ever seen us yell for no reason before. So suddenly when we start shouting for the goals, they get freaked out. In fact, she always barks, right? Like she's always barking and barking. He says, comment, Merlin guessed Mexico versus Korea, right? They should have him predict the other matches. Maybe he'll be like the octopus. Paula, yeah. I remember the octopus. Of course I do. He says, let me pause dinner, but I'm still listening. Enjoy your meal. They're starting dinner now. This one because of racism. And why? Let's see. With whom did Paraguay play against or what was going on? Leonardo Pepe says, he says Spain will win the World Cup.
For sure, because I found, dude, I have a leash with their colors. Butterfly effect, he says. Oh, because I found some dog leashes that have their colors. Butterfly effect.
This comment says Dr. Simi's son gave Merlin free consultations for life. It says, that's great. I mean, Dr. Simi's son is a veterinarian. That's good.
Dr. Simi opened a veterinary clinic already. So a veterinary clinic also super affordable with the lowest prices because honestly, these days they're outrageous. Yes, they're super expensive. I understand it's a business, but some of them really go too far. And speaking of that, it's a rule that players can't cover their mouth because they usually say things that are generally racist. And if they do, it's a straight red card.
Okay, I didn't know. They tricked me. Now I get it. If he covered his face, he's going to insult.
Luis Alberto Jordan says, I liked Mexico, their style of play, taking advantage of opportunities and managing the game. Yes.
Exactly. Look how good. I'm watching the game so much, responding to the loneliness right now, that I'm even watching Aguirre's press conferences, right? I mean, the whole thing, really, I liked him a lot, you know? No, I wasn't such a fan of his, but I liked him a lot. His comments, his talks, what he says about how football has evolved, what he says about how he has evolved as a person. I found it very interesting. I liked the interviews. He seems very direct, very clear to me.
And that,
I mean, managing the game, because the typical thing was always they play very well, but they lose focus like that. You guys get desperate, right? So you get desperate like now, I want to score the goal. And what's being shown is wait, right? I mean, go, but don't lose the ball where you shouldn't, mainly, right? I mean, to start with.
Tomorrow, Japan plays Tunisia, and they're discussing the match now. It's at 10 a.m., and that's good because the weather is going to be nothing but rain at 10 in the morning. The chance is only about 10, so if they wait until the afternoon, it goes up to 75. But, well, they were lucky.
yes,
Because since it's raining today,
Well, if it's going to be kind of wide every day, let's see if it gets absorbed.
no, yes.
I think so. Yes. Well, for me, the best tennis player was Sampras. He's really good. Sampras is really good. It's just that now it's a very different style.
A lot, yes.
Yes. The game has changed a lot. I hadn't really checked the differences, but they existed. Amazing. And many of the players from that time are still playing, like in amateur leagues. And sometimes they do exhibition stuff, right? Hey, it's like they've still got some game. Yeah.
Of course, says Pantaleon. Me, Pantelita, I'm gonna be racist with the racist for being racist, says Pantelita.
Let's see, Isa. Why can't players cover themselves?
This one says, let's see, Deri. The World Cup is like Bitcoin. Nobody knows if it will go up or down, in this case, who will win. Exactly.
Exactly. Yes, I think there is. There really is. And even more so right now, right, Derry? You're right. I mean, especially right now. Yes, there can be surprises, right? I mean, you start seeing how the teams are doing and the one you least expect can play a great game and all that. So, let's see.
Omar Trujillo says, Pepe, some Uruguayan sports journalists at the World Cup ate tacos and couldn't talk because they were so spicy. Well, that's their fault. They had too much salsa since tacos alone aren't spicy.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what kind of salsa they put on them. Well, that doesn't really happen here. In Monterrey, I feel like it doesn't happen as much. But in, for example, Mexico City, the classic thing is when they tell you it's just a little spicy, but usually it's actually pretty spicy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they tell me. I mean, they always say you should try it before adding more. Yes. Germán Ibarra says, right now Turkey is playing against Paraguay and they're...
And how's it going?
No, let's see. He says, well, Brazil is okay. 1-0 Paraguay. Awesome. Well, we're rooting for Paraguay, obviously. Let's see how it goes. Right? He says, okay, we're missing. Okay. Hey, yeah, we're missing likes, by the way, right? Cheers. Thank you very much, Francisco.
Paraguay knocks out Australia.
It could be, he says. Did you see the video of Titi Henry and Zlatan in suits showing off their skills? Are those guys still pulling that off? He says. Who is Titi Henry?
Well, Zlatan is from soccer. That's how I know him.
Oh, no. I haven't seen him. Where did you see that? You mean, yeah.
D. Henry. I remember Ribery. Do you remember Ribery?
I remember him so well. I love that French guy. The French guy who had a scar on his face. Greetings to Edison.
Hello, he says. My tennis idol has always been Steffi Graf.
Steffi Graf, yes, of course. Her last match in the end at Roland Garros against Martina Hingis was beautiful.
That's cool. Let's see if I can find that match. I haven't seen anything of hers. I mean, except for old stuff, but I mean, from other times. But no, I haven't seen anything. I've become a big fan of this. We've already, well, in August, it'll be of playing tennis, and little by little, I got into it. I honestly didn't watch anything, right? I mean, more than just a wall, very rarely. And now basically almost all my history is tennis stuff. Yeah. So I have started to look at the past to see how the games were, if they've changed a lot. But other than that, I haven't really checked it out, you know? Luis, hey, how have you been? Very good. All the way to Chile. It's late there already, isn't it? It's already around 12, he says. Very good. Francisco Martin Castanera. If they played a tennis match that lasted 4 to 5 hours, those players were amazing, says Martin. Well, yeah. If not, no, when they went long, they really went long. But you were already hooked, right? And now a lot of the games are at 3 or 4 in the morning. So if not, well, I don't know. Honestly, I just can't. I only watch the highlights. That's it. But I do have friends who watch the game. I mean, who get up at 3 or 4 in the morning to watch the whole game. I mean, that's pretty intense. He says, okay, greetings. Panterita says, okay, greetings, Garman. Very good. Who else is out there?
Fia says, hi, how are you? Elisa, and also greetings to Soria, we greet her.
Greetings to Sol Garcia.
To Sol Garcia. We greet her.
Let's go.
Guys, remember that we're on WhatsApp, we're on Telegram. That's where we send you the notifications for the live streams. And we're also on Facebook and Instagram. And that's it.
Tomorrow we'll be here talking about what's happening in the world. And at night, well, there you go. There will be updates about football and, of course, updates about what's happening in movies and cinema. I still have some things to watch that I couldn't get to this week. So I'll try to watch at least one next week. But it would be nice to do one just about independent movies, right? Even about independent series too, since there are some. But anyway, take care. Have an excellent weekend. We'll keep talking. See you later.
We interrupt your regular. Thank you for tuning into The Truth. This is Pepe.
Lived. The truth is intense. Pure. The unusual is real. Pure. Here we analyze it. Global focus. Don't miss out. Tune into the Pepe Live channel. Controlling the signal. Pepe and Astrid telling it like it is. Raw journalism. Respect is upheld here. Turn on notifications. Stay tuned till next time. Yes, sir.
Roll call.